Welcome to Zelda Speedruns. We have for you from the Zelda 2 Randomizer Standard Tournament 2025 a Swiss round 4 matchup between Malchior and Valence. I am VT Slacker. I'll be the tracker for this race, and I'll pass it over to our commentator for this race, Elendar. Take it away.
Good evening, everybody. We're here for the second race of the night. First race still pending, but people can switch over back and forth if they want, or just hang out here with us at Zelda Speedruns. Got a good match tonight. Malchior and Valence. I think this is a 2-1 race. I didn't actually check. Probably should have checked in advance. It's okay. VT will tell us at some point. We're just gonna assume it's 2-1 because these are two good races here. They will be off in just a second here. This is round 4 of the tournament. For people who haven't been following us during Zelda Speedruns break, it's good to have everyone back. Good to be back. 1, 2. Okay, thanks. We're in round 4 of 5. Before we move on to the brackets, everyone's going to make the brackets, but this is just for seeding and for fun. We've got a dry canyon, it looks like, right off the bat. We get some free stuff. We got 500 bucks. Valen's playing with a sprite that's new to me. I think this is the Kung Fu sprite. Malchior just with the classic Link. And yeah, gets 500 bucks right off the bat and spends some time picking up some attack, life, and magic levels. Plenty of experience very early. Malchior pick up that 500 in just a bit when he finds this grass tile. Bagu's Letter Town, there we go. That's what everyone's looking for. Oh, get some sprite swaps here. That's cool. Okay. Bagu's Letter be gone. We've got Thunderspell here in Saria, so Malchior gonna pick up that hint. Death Mountain has our mirror, so we will be making a trip to Death Mountain. Spell under the table, so a hammer gonna be pretty high priority for our runners to see if they can find it. 50-50, that's going to be required just for the mountain alone. Yeah, Bagu's Letter, of course, completely irrelevant because we've got a dry canyon, so both sides of Saria will be connected by desert instead of water. Medicine holds the flute. Malchior not going to bother checking that until he gets a way to get downstab. And speaking of a way to get downstab, Magic Container Cave has got some boots. So Valen's going to be downstabbing in probably just a few minutes. Let's see what's hanging out here in Heart Container Cave. A trophy. Don't know what that is, but could be good. Yeah, Malchior checking out the south side, Valence checking out the north. Basically a guarantee that the next few minutes is just going to be spent both runners swapping sides. When you've got a dry canyon, you want to just grab everything you can from the west early because it's very easy and very safe. Malchior just doing a quick reset, remembers this is Thundertown. Yep, that's the other side. Alright, here's what our trophy is going to get us. Oh, Malchior had already checked it, apparently. Or that, or he just doesn't care what the sign says. This early in the seed is a pretty good philosophy that you don't care what the sign says. You'll take pretty much anything, even like a pea bag would be a pretty welcome pickup. We're all going to be surprised together what's hanging out behind the wizard here. It's a magic container. Okay, that's another good one. Pretty much the only gag, like the only whammy you could get from the wizard would be like a blue or red jar. But a 1-up or P-bag is still early enough in the seed. Those would be useful. And pretty much any kind of item is going to be good. We already got Bagu's note, so not going to get that one. Heart container hanging out in Medicine Cave. So nothing required early on. But Bolt Runner is going to get just a bunch of safeties and nice stuff. We're going to have jump. We're going to have down stab. Means whenever we do find a way off this continent, it's going to be pretty tame. At least early on. We could get some extreme madness once we get east. Get some Islands East no boots. Some forced no boots Islands DM is still in the cards. Not a common sighting, but it does happen. Alright, Valence picked up some water. So all the spell items very, very available early on. Helmet Head guards the life spell. Okay, that's a good one. Don't think we've seen 2 yet, but also, somehow, despite both runners having searched both ends, we still haven't seen continents transition. I think there was a bridge or a raft tile or something all the way in the south end, but nobody's checked it yet. Yeah, so we need Fairy Reflect and Reflected Thunder always required, Fairy probably required, and a glove like 99% to be required. Did Malchior? I thought the medicine was in DM. Oh yeah, it was the mirror that was in DM. Sorry. I knew we had a spell item hanging out in DM for Thunderspell. Valence having a problem with this extremely rude fairy cave. All right, I think that's all the caves for Malchior. Are we gonna see finally a check off this continent? The glove is palace blocking stuff. The glove lets you break the breakable blocks in palaces. In this flag set, any palace can contain breakable blocks that could potentially be required. But GP is, there are so many rooms in the room pool that are all glove blocked. Yeah, we could need a raft. Raft is, all of the items in the tracker are stuff that's possibly required. A raft is going to let us take one of the 4 continent transitions. But there are 4 continents and 4 transitions between them, so sometimes you do need to take that raft to get where you need to go. Sometimes you don't, and it's just a spare. So far, we have not seen how to get off this continent, and Malchior dipping into palaces here. A reminder that the logic of palaces cannot require you to get anything from a palace or to complete any palace without either having the magic key, which gives you an infinite number of keys, or the fairy spell to get through key doors. Yeah, about 1 in 4 it's about 1 in 4 the raft ends up being required. A decent amount of the time, even if it's not required, it's useful because it can help you get from one continent to another in a way that might be like a shorter path. Hard to say what's going on here. So Malchior did pick up, somehow Valence had missed that the first loop through. Malchior picked up a magic key, and so that does put palaces into logic. Yeah, I was gonna say he dipped into this P2 out of logic early on, just because he had a key from the overworld. And yeah, immediately with the magic key, now that it's in logic, gonna go back in. We do have 2 items here. Okay. Oh, tricky. It's a little bit of a tricky room on Malchior's end. You can't get that P bag. There's a couple of blocks, so you can still jump across here if you accidentally break the ground too much. You can still get across, but Malchior just gonna take the death. He's still fairly close to start, so a game over wouldn't hurt him that much. The magic key just gives you an infinite amount of keys. It gives you an unlimited supply of keys. It's the same thing as Z1. Yeah, it is officially the magic key. You'll often refer to as the any key, just because a lot of Z2 players, also Z1 players, a lot of players this tournament play other randomizers as well. You'll hear it coming out of me occasionally because I do occasionally play Z1 randomizer as well. Yeah, how do you get keys? So that's an excellent question. In this flag set, any of the rooms that contain a small item could contain a key randomly. I think it's the highest probability drop from small, minor items. Flute for valence. Killing a boss will always give you a key in this flag set. Sometimes that can be randomized, but in this flag set, it's always keys. And then sometimes keys will be in the drop pool from either large or small enemies. All enemies are split into one of 3 groups, either the large enemies, the small enemies, or the no drop enemies. Alright, so now Valence picking up his magic key. Okay, so Malchior finds the bridge all the way in the south. I'm pretty sure it's a bridge. So he's going to step off and find the maze, going to be our second continent we have access to. Didn't end up beating P2, decided to move on. Yeah, keys are a differently accessible resource in Z2 than Z1, right? Sometimes you get seeds where there's a lot more keys, but also sometimes you get seeds where just there are no keys, right? Palaces are not guaranteed to have keys, and there's no shops that have keys. And so sometimes you get a lot of keys, sometimes you get no keys, and that's why it's always logically required to beat a palace that you either have the any key or the fairy spell, which you can use to get through key doors. Oh, P2 glove blocked. Okay. Okay, glove fairy blocked. Sure. So there is another cave off of this maze. So that's another continent connector. Raft not immediately required. probably going to get a sighting on this cave in just a second here. Yeah, Malchior wants to check it. Let's see, DM. Come on, DM. It's not DM, it's the east. Ooh. Yeah, and Malchior pretty wisely deciding the east is where he wants to be. Plenty of checks here. This is, the west was a dry canyon. The west is a wet canyon. Similar shape, but instead of there being a bunch of desert separating the two sides, there is a big old river. And without the boots, runners are going to have to find some bridges to cross, maybe a cave to the other side. It's about a medium convenience biome. Yeah. And Malchior's just checking out everything he can on the north side of this, but what's on the south side we're gonna find in probably just a bit. Okay, there's a second cave on the maze. So if that cave leads to DM, raft not required. If that cave also leads to the east, we are gonna need to find a raft. Because DM required for mirror for Thunderspell this time. What is it? It's DM. Alright, no rafts today. Yeah, 4 continents, 4 connectors. There's always 2 connector caves, 1 bridge that you can just walk across, and 1 raft that, or 1 raft tile that requires a raft to sail over. It's the same 4 continents and 4 connectors as vanilla, just in different orders in different places. You can, in the flags, set it so that all of the connectors go to their vanilla contents, but we are using the anything goes setting here, so any connector can take you anywhere. Valence also picking up a shield spell. And yeah, Malchior didn't take a stop to turn in that medicine, so he didn't get the flute or downstab. And so he's not going to be able to clear Larry. It looked like there was a Larry blocked cave just to the south of him here. And 50 bucks for this item cave. Womp womp. Ooh, Valence just barely getting in. That was a... Valence was in the state commonly referred to as zombie link. You have a few seconds between when you take damage and it actually counts you as dead. And so Valence got hit, and before he could die, transitioned into the house. And so you can be alive on 0 HP like that. Fortunately for him, the wizard had a hard container and gave him a nice slow refill here. Yeah, Malchior, okay, so Kid gets you a magic container, but also notably Malchior not going to be able to get downstab here either. Valence's jump also paying off for 500 bucks, as is traditional. That's 6 containers enough for the basement. We know that's a random value between 5 and 7. Okay, well, Malchior can go get that container now. Kid just hanging out next door. Alright, and 3-Eyed Rock gonna have nothing for us today, just a Wilson. So, flute requirement looking not that high of a likelihood. We've already seen a Larry, so there's no Larry Town. 3-Eyed Rock is nothing. And Malchior's going to the east side of town. Did he get Spell and I missed it? Ah, he did. Okay. So, all 3 checks in New Kasuto. There's GP in the east. Can't do anything with that yet. Okay, there's a raft. Yeah, Malchior just shaking his head a little bit. He already knows that it doesn't need that one. Could still be helpful. There's technically a very slim chance that raft also leads to DM and it's a segmented DM, but that's significant. That's like a sub 1% chance. It's not something we're looking for. We are going to get a check behind this Larry, but I think this is just a pass through. Yeah, just leads to the other side of the river there. Nothing great. Both runners continuing to check towns. We got some palaces. Gonna get across. Purple Kid, no hint today. Yeah, and Valence gonna get upstab now with his jump spell. Oh, baby. Boots hanging out the fountain. It's immediately gonna be useful in this east, but also potentially valuable in DM as well. So still looking for a glove, still looking for hammer. And also looking for all of our required spells still, so very high likelihood palaces are going to be where most of our progress lies today. I mean, these overworld checks are good. Both runners getting lots of life, lots of magic, but yeah, it's time for palaces. Malchior going to dig out this nice little one-item P1. Horsehead Nace with a fairy spell. Okay, so one item P1 and its fairy spell. Malchior doesn't have that hint, but also, if you don't get the item from one, I don't know what you're doing if you decide, like, I understand if it's like a one item 5 and you find the boss road, you really don't want to check it, but one is such a short palace. On average, all of the length, the number of rooms in each palace is based on its vanilla value with a little bit of range at random. So 1 and 3 are the 2 short palaces, 2 and 4 a little bit longer, and then 5 and 6 very big. Yeah, the only thing stopping random palace sizes, and this is sort of a similar problem to what Z1 Randomizer had, is that the way the palace banks work, palace 1, 2, and 5 share a set of room definitions, and then palace 3, 4, and 6 also share a set of rooms. And because of that and the way the rooms index, there is a hard limit of 63 total rooms in each bank. And so it would doing any more than that or modifying how they work would be a bit tricky. So Valence continuing to pick up all these overworld checks. Malchior finds a Horsehead. Yeah, we could potentially, really mix up the sizes. Or one thing that I've done some pre-work for that will probably come out eventually, but not likely soon, is being able to have fewer bigger palaces, right? Like what if we had 4 palaces in a seed instead of 6, but they had extra rooms. And welcome to Raiders from the Goblin. restreaming the previous race. We've got a fun one here so far. Bit of a recap. Overworld was a whole bunch of safeties. We've got Frost, we've got a ton of life and magic containers, we've got Jump, we've got any key, but no Reflect, no Thunder, no Glove, and of those, we only know where one is. We've got a mirror blocking Thunder, but that mirror is in DM. Neither runner wants to dig that DM with no hammer, understandably. So Valence finishing up his overworld checks. A little bit slower, but has the advantage of a flute, upstab, downstab. Malchior skipping a few checks. And he's going to be a full palace up. A little under 25 minutes. A pretty good time for your first gem. You basically cleared the overworld first. Got Wet Canyon East, Dry Canyon on the west, and Death Mountain is vanilla-like. So now Malchior's got to make a choice. He could do Valley of Death, second palace out in the open is just P7. What does the flute do? The flute does a couple things. One thing you could do, you can see that River Devil just on Malchior's screen outside. Playing the flute will banish the River Devil, allowing you to pass. He could either block a path, block a cave, like he is in the seed, or block a town. The second thing it does is there is a formation called Three-Eyed Rock, where you'll see 3 rocks in a specific formation that people recognize from vanilla. If you stand in the middle, blow the flute, it reveals, in this flag set, a random location in the east. Could be anything. We did get a check from Valence's side. It was just a normal enemy encounter, so not gonna need the flute at all here, but could have been useful. Valence did already check both checks, and there wasn't anything there. Meanwhile, Malchior picks up a fire spell, sensibly decides, all right, I don't want to do Valley of Death. I'm just going to up A and clear out these palaces on the west. Could also, if he wanted, I mean, there's a jump spell available. He should at least get downstab before going to doing more palaces, which is, I believe, where he's headed right now. And I'm wrong. You got Cherry Spell. The town's right there. I don't know. I really like downstab. Downstab is broken. But yeah, Malchior forgetting that he has this item already. That was the life spell. This P2 he was in earlier, and he found a glove block. It might be a different path he didn't check. Meanwhile, Valence, I missed which palace this is for Valence, but what is the purpose of towns? Each town has 1 or more checks in it. Also, some of the townsfolk are where most of the hints in the game are, so you can get some information. Generally nice places, but especially if you don't need the items, they can take a little while to walk through. In older flag sets, the wizard in each town always had a spell, but new flag we're playing with for this standard tournament is that the spells, as well as a couple of the quest items, have been added to the shuffle pool, so the wizards can now give you anything. Oh, that's right. This was a glove or fairy block for Malchior. Now that he has fairy, he can pass through. Very fun looking horsehead swap for Valence. He's going to get his fairy spell. Yeah, and each town sort of has its own texture, right? In terms of how many possible hints it has, how many possible items it has. Like P1, for example, is going to have three possible hint locations, but only one item check. Whereas New Kasuto has 3 item checks, though one of them blocked behind a number of magic containers, one of them blocked behind the spell. Up and down stab not randomized in this flag set. However, it is a new flag that was added in 5.0. If you want to play with it, you can shuffle up and down stab into the shuffle pool as well. We decided not to turn it on for this tournament because it does make it quite a bit harder. Down stab is so good that when you shuffle its location, it leads to a lot more seeds where you just don't end up getting down stab, or you get it much later in the game. And while that could be fun, I like to play with it. It is quite a bit harder than without it. So. Valence continuing to look for his boss in P1. Malchior making his way to, is it Dead End Room? I don't recognize. I think this is one of the Dead End Rooms. Yeah, this is a Dead End Room. For people who don't recognize this shape of room, this is a somewhat common kind of room. There are a couple rooms in the pool that are like this, and Malchior's just going to take a death to go back to the start. The thing you're looking for when you enter this room, that little, big empty thing, and then a 2 tall block right at the edge of the screen. There's a couple rooms in the pool that are like that, and they are all dead ends. So Valence also evening up the gem count. Now, is he going to do Valley of Death, or is he going to up A? The advantage of doing Valley of Death is if you're going to leave this content anyway, then you might as well do Valley of Death now, so you don't have to walk out. If you hold it until later, you're going to have to walk out. Are we gonna get a raft tile check? Okay, we are gonna see where this goes. We know it's not required. It does go to DI. Okay. So just a little bit of a time saver, not having to backtrack through the maze. And Valence figures, while I'm here, I might as well try and find Hammer Cave. 2 checks in Death Mountain always. One of them is the cave that normally has the hammer. The other a rock that is blocked by the hammer. But that's vanilla. In the randomizer, Death Mountain is much more cruel. Death Valley is in the east. There's always an area that has a bunch of lava tiles and cave transitions. It is in vanilla. It's the path that leads to the final palace. In the randomizer, there's always going to be a Valley of Death with a bunch of, the similar shaped lava tiles and caves and such. But in this flag set, it leads to a palace somewhere on the east, not necessarily Ganon's palace to beat the game. And since we've already seen that, we do know it's definitely not Ganon's palace. And here's a big part of why Death Mountain is rude for Valence. Makes his way through a cave, looking around, and finds nothing. For people who haven't played in a while, or they're new to the randomizer, all these caves in Death Mountain do have some logic to them. They always take you in the direction they point, right? So as Valence goes in this cave going west, he is going to end up in that output cave just to the west of him. And so runners aren't just checking caves blindly at random. They're trying to figure out how to get to other parts of the mountain, trying to figure out okay, that was an interesting thing. So Valence gonna leave, but one thing Valence found there that was very important, there were 2 caves facing north and 1 cave facing south there. So not only was the rock there, but when you're trying to find a hammer cave, because the caves are always paired up, the caves that take you somewhere, any cave that doesn't have a buddy is necessarily either a continent transition, which we know it's not, or it's going to be hammer cave, which we want. So, unfortunately, Valence didn't have easy access, but he does now, if he was paying attention, know where Hammer Cave is, where the rock is, and roughly how to get to them. So when he comes back, that'll be some good information. The trick will just be remembering that information, you know, however many minutes later it takes you to come back. So this is good for Malchior. He's now clearing off all of these checks that he had skipped in the west. It's going to get him jump spell. Okay, and now Valence in P2. So they should be pretty even coming out of this. We'll see how long it takes Valence to clear 2 out versus how long it takes Malchior to get into another palace. If I had to guess, Malchior probably rocking about a 2-minute lead right now. But it's really hard to say. It depends on how much that scouting advantage in DM ends up meaning, and we're not going to know that for quite some time. Valence now finding this glove or fairy required room. No glove, but fairy will do the job. And yep, Malchior gonna go back and pick up his down stab. That is 3 blue iron knuckles in the same room. And unfortunately, Valence does not have enough magic to be able to ferry out of here. It has to take a death. It's slightly faster than ferrying out, but... Malchior gonna turn in his medicine for a flute. Yeah, okay, and Valence right now Valence recognizes that style of room. Yeah, two blocks right at the start. Big empty room. That's a dead end, so a little bit more time saved for Valence. If you ever want to look up any of the rooms, there is linked in the Discord. I don't remember exactly where. Feel free to ask me for it. There is a utility that Anitsu wrote that lets you see all of the different possible rooms. You can sort and filter them however you like. If you ever want to do a little bit of look and be like, hey, what do all the dead ends look like so I can remember them? That is a very cool option that's available, especially if you're learning the new rooms for 5.0. Are we gonna see Valence do the cool check? No. For people who haven't seen, so there's a number of ways you can get through this room. Obviously, you can go left and loop around. You can break the blocks and fairy, although Valence can't do that without a glove. But you can also just jump spell over the top right side of the room. But Valence wants to conserve his magic and hits Helmet Head directly in the face. Ooh, and gets enough experience now here. This is very good. Gonna get about 2,300 and pick up attack 6. So very different leveling setups. Yeah, I'm not sure if the original designer of that room intended that, but I think it's cool. I think any room where, you know, jump spell gets a little bit more love is worth doing. But yeah, you can just jump spell over that wall and it takes you out. And there's no logical requirements on that room, so it's perfectly in logic. All right, so Malchior now in, I believe this is P5. And it's going to be rough for him. Valence at a very nice 6-3-4 levels. Malchior 3-5-4. You know, just taking levels as they go, but very, very low on attack. It's going to be kind of difficult to take down Guma, although all that magic with both shield and life spell available is going to help him be a lot safer. I love this room. Not sure if it was intentionally a Mega Man reference, but that's sort of a drop with a little item on the ledge there. Oh yeah, here's how to tell items at the start. So if you look at Valence's screen right now, he's going to come up, he's going to go on this elevator. There are no statues in that wall. You can either check the number of clouds at the very start of the palace, or when you go down or up the first elevator, there'll be some statues in the wall that tells you how many items are in that palace. That only happens if the number of items is on random. If you manually set it to 0, 1, or 2 items per palace, then it just is that. It's what you set it to. Not creative time reference. Okay. But yeah, I think it's cool having that item on the ledge there. All right, 1 death from Malchior, but now he's going to come in full life, full magic, only attack 3. But shield spell, a number of casts of life, lots of magic, lots of life, and a down roll on Guma. So as far as attack 3 Gumas go, this is about as nice as it gets. Yeah, the pillars and the windows help you tell which palace you're in. Palaces 1 and 4 share a pillar style. 2 and 5 share the style you can see on Malchior's screen right now, and then same with 3 and 6. You can tell 1 and 4 apart because Palace 4 always has a flying enemy at the start. 2 and 5 you can tell apart by stabbing the statue. 2 statue is empty. 5 will always have. 2 statue always has a jar. 5 is always empty. 3 and 6, no way to tell from the start. You're just going in blind. The only way you can tell at the start is if you see 3 items in a palace, only palaces 5 and 6 can have 3 items because they're longer. So that can tell you right away. Other than that, yeah, 3 and 6 you're just gonna have to guess until you see a boss or you see some windows. Every palace has its own style of window. All right, Malchior here, gonna check DM from the other side. He's got a hammer, so this makes good sense. Oh, wow. Okay. Not reflect spell. Or sorry, that was not the mirror. We knew the mirror was here. We knew you needed mirror for thunder. Instead, Malchior finds the reflect spell. Which, very welcome. So both of the required items going to be available here in DM for Malchior, and that's big. We're just a glove away from go mode at this point. And Valence continuing on basically the same palace routing strategy as Malchior, but he was gaining a little bit of time in palace execution. But I'm gonna lose a little bit of time to not having gotten either Death Mountain item the first time through. Does have a hammer now, but gonna have to come back. We'll see how quickly Malchior can find his way to Hammer Cave, but this is not the way. This is gonna be a dead end. So here's our boss for P5 is Guma. Guma, probably the hardest of the normal bosses. Although Valence is going to make it look easy with attack 6 and shield spell, life spell, like extremely prepared for Guma. And wow, yeah, 1,000 points. He's going to get attack 7 here. Be a very good leveling route for Valence. Yeah, and if you can, this is the way you want to level up, right? Get as much attack as you can, leverage the boss kills to get you that large amount of experience that you need to get more attack levels. And yeah, wow, just the amount of attack power Valence has had in these palaces has really helped blast him through. So now, at this point, I gotta think that any advantage has been completely evaporated. It's just neck and neck. It's gonna come down to who finds Hammer Cave first and who finds a glove first. Pretty much exactly tied here in Death Mountain. Yeah, most of the bosses don't have anything fancy. You know, Guma in P5 is he doesn't require anything, but the combat is difficult enough that without some levels and or some pickups to help out, it can be difficult just to beat him, or if you do, it can be very slow. The only boss that has anything that is hard required is Karak in P4. Will require the use of the Reflect spell, which our runners have now. You know, palaces always have their vanilla bosses. There's a number of reasons for that. Partially just because I think that helps gives the palaces sort of, you know, to make them feel reasonable. But a lot of it is also technical restrictions due to graphics and logic only being in specific banks. Yeah, each boss is only, for the most part, each boss is only in a specific palace. The bosses of 1 and 3 can appear as mini bosses. Any mini boss in Palace 1, 2, or 5 is Horsehead from P1. Any mini boss in 3, 4, or 6 is Ribonak from P3. And again, that's because the logic for those bosses is contained in the bank corresponding to those palaces. Yeah, unfortunately, fortunately for people who like the game looking good, unfortunately for people who enjoy Revo Shark, 5.0 did some technical magic to fix those graphics. We've been going through, shoutouts to J-Ro and Anitsu for reworking some of the graphics code to give us the ability to have some extra sprites, some extra graphics memory that has enabled the space we needed for having the spells in the shuffle pool, for having the extended menu. We may make a patch to bring Revo Shark back at some point, but Bolt Runner's getting the mirror from Death Mountain. Bolt Runner's getting the Thunder Spell from the Saria. Once again, exactly tied. Valence with an up A. Slightly faster way out of town. And so now the only thing we need to clear these 3 palaces, and we need a glove. And I don't think there are any overworld checks left for our runners. The glove is gonna be in a palace somewhere. So here we're first up. We've got P4 with no item, with one item, and we've got a 3 or 6 on Malchior's side with no items. Yeah, as mentioned earlier, we cannot know from the start whether this is P3 or P6. We won't know until we see either a boss or a window, and that's a glove block. So if that 3 or 6 is glove blocked, then glove going to be in P4 or the other 3-6. And the other 3-6 is in Valley of Death. So if either runner decided to do Death Valley first before going back west, we could have gotten a big advantage. Instead, both runners going to be funneled here into P4. There's one item, could be a glove. Oftentimes, you got to be a little bit careful just to make sure that you have enough magic to cast Reflect by the time you get to the boss here, but Malchior at magic 5-7 containers, Valence at magic 3-8 containers. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Yeah, both runners are looking for a glove for go mode. Technically, not guaranteed the glove is required, but it is actually factually like at least 99% likely in this flag set. The glove will let, well, I guess it is guaranteed to be required in this one because we've already seen a glove block in the other, in that P3 or 6. Glove lets you break the breakable blocks. You'll see them all over in these palaces. They just look like, they don't look very fancy. They just kind of look like a plain looking block. And the glove lets you break them. The room pool in GP has just so many rooms that could be glove blocked that GP ends up being glove blocked in this flag set well north of 99% of the time. In some of our other flag sets, you can get a little bit higher likelihood that glove isn't required, but both runners reflecting away, taking down Kirok. Slight advantage for Valence here. Though Malchior, with that advantage, knowing the remaining 3-6 is glove block, probably we're gonna balance out here. So, okay, big question for Valence. Is this attack 8, or is he gonna cash this in to get life and magic levels? Life and magic it is. Makes sense. Yes, this is some very good routing. Malchior still on attack 4. Valence gonna be on 7-6-5 probably coming out of this palace. Both runners sensibly deciding that they still need a glove. Not gonna leave here without this item. And we basically exactly tied. Yeah, it somewhat makes sense for Valence prioritizing magic over life just because if Valence does need safety with both the life and the magic spell and a fairly cheap shield, the life and shield spell, he has a good ability to convert his magic into defense if he needs to. Quick little jump to pick up magic 7. The very fun split room. This is a room that you can drop into, so that top section is not nothing. Kind of a simple room, but I do really appreciate it. Here's the item room. This is one of Anitsu's item rooms. We needed more down elevator item rooms, and this is it. And hey, there's a glove. Okay. I was hoping for it to be in the other 3 or 6 behind Valley of Death. So, go mode for both runners. and that means that Malchior's advantage in knowing that remaining 3 or 6 is glove blocked is eliminated, and now both runners pretty much just tied up again. Yeah, very close race. Gonna come down to Palace execution and maybe a bit of luck in GP. You're gonna see no divergence around here. Both runners going all the way down the elevator. Yeah, we'll do a quick mark there. Yep, we got Thunder. We're definitely going for full tracker percent here. All right, Malchior goes to the glove block. Breaks the blocks. Nope. Go down the pit. There's nothing over there, Malchior. Yep, it is a fairy. You can refill your life if you want to. Malchior just not recognizing that room, and that's going to give Valence about a room worth of lead. So far, completely linear, except for that left at the start. There is still a left there you can take if you want. Do like this path that they're both on right now. All right, here's a route divergence. This is really smart by Malchior. I like going to this room because, if you're hunting the boss, this drop is a good bet. Although it's kind of looking like both paths are leading to the same area anyway. This is P6 now. We get a confirmation from those windows. Yeah, Malchior's going right here, and that's going to put him onto the same route as Valence. Yeah, drops have to connect to a way out of the palace, right? So either back to the entrance or in this flag set, because bosses don't continue, it can take you to the boss instead. And that is true of all drops in the new palace styles. Well, in both random walk and sequential. Yeah, Valence, because of some different routing of experience, Valence is going to end up at a much, much higher level than Malchior is. Malchior probably going to try and hit like 5, 5, 6 before heading into GP, something in that neighborhood. Attack 5 and hopefully a little bit extra. But Valence could very easily be like 7, 7, 7 coming into GP after finishing these last 2 palaces. Interesting. So Valence sort of looped back and is now looking at taking this drop. Malchior going all the way right and fighting the same dead end that Valence did. So 2 different possible paths remaining. The correct way could be left at that room Valence just dropped down from, or the left all the way at the very start of the palace we still haven't checked. Yeah, Malchior's just up A. You're saying that if you've got 2 different lefts, they're basically equally likely to be valid. And I like this from Malchior. Right? Both your lefts are equally likely to be good, so take the one closest to you, and the closest one to you is always an up A away. So this is going to be big in terms of advantage for both our runners. Whichever one of these runners is on the right path is going to gain several minutes. And unfortunately, dead end for Malchior. It's this room again. Runners from who were watching the race with Gob will recognize that one. And yeah, unfortunately for Malchior, of those 2 options, Valence's was the correct one. yeah, quick takedown from Valence, and wow, Valence is going to be very, very well set up in terms of levels. Just take a little bit of time for everything to roll up. He's thinking of attack 8. You don't need it. Just take the life levels. Take the life levels and burn the last level. All right, here we go. Attack 8. It's okay. Shout out to Attack 9. Yeah, I haven't seen him around in a while, but always good. The for people who haven't played vanilla, you have to be careful not to take level 9 in any stat. It doesn't give you any advantage, just gives you a 1-up. Slambo, of course, pointing out that attack 6 is cheating, but attack 7 is not attack 6. Attack 8 also not attack 6. Although, like I said, I would have probably just taken the life levels and then burned the last jump, but we're gonna get some extreme levels coming into GP from Valence's side. And hey, if it's a really trolly GP, then could be worth it. Yeah, the both runners were very close for a long time. Wow, we got the most degenerately short Death Valley ever. It's gonna happen in Canyon sometimes. It's because it runs up against the maximum height of the map. Got one item here, but no one cares. And attack 8, of course, doing what attack 8 always does and just one-shotting basically every enemy. Okay, both runners not recognizing that this is a variation on an existing room type. So yeah, you can get the fairy if you want to, but just a drop. Speaking of existing rooms. Big long bridge like this equals go left. Actually, it's been so long, I actually don't remember if that's a vanilla room or a 4.0. I think it's a vanilla room. Yeah. No path left here. Worth noting, there is a 50-50 in the statue in that room if you ever want to try and go get it. It's guarded though, so gotta be careful. Mal just lost here in P6. Unfortunately, this is giving Valence just a ton of advantage. I mean, GP can still GP you, and you know, one game over can make the difference, but yeah, Malchior's back. I think that's the right track. I think where he was supposed to go. I don't remember exactly, but people expressing their dislike of the Canadian hole. Yeah, it's vanilla rooms are vanilla. I do appreciate them being around. I do think the Canadian hole is quite a bit more tolerable when you can see it, right, when we have the walk through walls are visible flag is on. Alright, and Malchior does finally find Barba. Would be very well equipped to take him down, though it is going to take him quite a bit more time at attack 4 instead of attack 7. Slammo over here with his sub 80s. One of these days I'll go and get a sub 90. And here's Rebonac for Valence. Doesn't quite get the corner setup working, but attack 8 does not care and just blasts him down. Oh, and a very bad bop from Malchior right at the end. Gonna have to give it another try here. Valence spinning up some XP. A little bit low on a attack 9 roll, 70-40. But gonna be able to cash it in for multiple life levels. Yeah, 877 gonna be his final leveling. And I think GP is just right down the river here. Not quite going to be able to get a double level here, unfortunately, so... I mean, I really hope this is attack 5 for Mal. It's not. Nope, he's gonna be 466. So I guess I'll be able to get attack 5 from P4 or P3 as his last palace. All right, and Valence is here in GP 105.48. It had a little bit of screwiness, double required DM check, so slowed them down from being a completely jet seed, but still a quick one so far. And yeah, let's see what this attack 8 does to these birds. Doesn't kill a red in 2 hits. We did see that earlier in the tournament. Some with a very high roll attack 8 did blasting. Oh yeah, no life spell for Valence. That's a good shout. Well, when you don't have life spell, you do what Valence is doing, which is cast shield constantly. Valence checking down the elevator, gonna check up after. It's interesting with the new palace styles. Up and down are not the same anymore. Up is a safer way to go, in that if you find a drop, you can go down the drop, but you can't go up a drop. So it gives you more information, less likely to get you screwed. But down is also potentially faster, because we do know that drops are likelier than in other palace styles to take you to either Thunderbird or Darkling. And so downs end up being a little faster in aggregates, but they have more of a risk of sending you to a bunch of loopy garbage, and then you have to backtrack a whole bunch to get back to where you were. And Malchior does not know where the Valley of Death is. Speaking of drops, here is one. And hey, it's drop waffles. This was my favorite GM room I added. Or GP room. Had to have more waffles in the flag, so that was important. And after a death, Valence correctly decides, forget this, I'm just going to cast jump. Oh, that's a dead end back through the waffles. This room does go, there's a down elevator on the left side of this room. It's the other reason this room was added. We wanted a drop zone down and right room. And Okay, we're into a four-way, so this definitely seems like the way to go for Valence. Alright, Malchior does remember that there's a dead end. Okay, it's definitely the way to go, because here's a Thunderbird. Malchior with an up A, maybe getting a little bit confused, wants to take this left to the start. On a very cool Thunderbird sprite swap. Valence gets a 3 going right, but kind of screws the pattern up. Gonna do a reset. Still a little bit off, but wow, attack 8 just destroying Thunderbird. It's a life level. So 878 for Valence. Very convenient. Yeah, we are at tracker percent, and as is traditional, we get to tracker percent. Here's Darklink. Unfortunately, attack 8 not going to do him any good here. Darklink always takes 1 bar of health per stab, no matter what your level is. He also deals 1 bar of health per stab, regardless of what your life level is. Shield spell does help, though. And put your GGs in chat. Valence finishing this one up. Official time 1:10:40. Was someone going to add harder? Like, Darklink doesn't need to be harder. There was a room submitted that made Darklink way, way harder, and ended up getting rid of it because I don't think it's a good idea. And shout out to Valence finishing this one up with a very impressive finish. GG.
Thank you.
This was an interesting one. You and Malchior sort of swapped around some of your check at the start, but we're in DM, in Hammer Cave, a couple of seconds apart.
Oh wow, okay.
And the big, I guess the two big things that ended up making a bunch of difference were you found the way in P6 a lot faster than Malchior did, and also those levels. 8, 7, 8, how'd that feel?
That was, I wasn't even planning that. I was so surprised. I can't remember what palace it was when I could take attack 8. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, and I have another palace to go? Oh my god, okay, well, alright.
Yeah, you got a bunch of levels early and then just had stuff line up well. Good experience for bosses.
The immediate 500 P bag at Grass Tile was really funny to me. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I checked this first.
Yeah, you and Mal did it in. I think you did the north end first. Mal ended up doing the south end first. But like a lot of stuff, you just flipped it at various points. But yeah, Mal did not nearly have as nice of levels as you did, and that caught you up quite a bit. And then the GP was kind of nothing.
I just got really lucky because there were a bunch of Grand Palace rooms that I had never seen until this run. I'm like, I don't recognize that. I don't recognize that. I don't recognize this one. Like right at the beginning, I'm like, I'll just pick away and hope that it's kind of correct. And it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with go right and go down, right? Like.
Yeah. And like, I really wasn't expecting Thunderbird and then Darklink right after. Like I was expecting, okay, here's a little bit before and then a whole bunch after, and it was like, wait, what?
Yeah, and the rest of the palace must have been hiding elsewhere. Thunderbird also kind of, you got a little bit off pattern, and I got a bit worried, but then you sort of stabbed it twice and he died because attack 8's ridiculous.
Attack 8 is crazy, man. It's crazy.
Second only to the mythical attack 9. Don't take that one. we've got Mal just heading into GP now. Got a bit turned around in that P6. Sort of, you both. I mean, you came in at the same time, did very similar routes. Malchior ended up taking that drop in the drop T room that's glove blocked.
Oh.
And you went down and right first, and then neither of those ended up being the right way, and you sort of looped back on each other. And we knew it was either going to be that left that ended up being the right way, or there was a left right at the start. And Malchior just said, well, if I'm going to go left, I'm going to up A and just take the first left at the start. And that ended up, I mean, whoever got the right path there was going to gain 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was P6 was pretty big. And I was, I can't remember which race it was, but during the interview they mentioned that drops now lead more likely to bosses as well.
Yeah, the way it works is that you can't get stuck in this palace style. So if there's a drop, it either has to loop you back to the entrance somehow, or it has to take you to the boss.
Yeah, and there was.
And so it's a little bit more likely that you're going to find the boss by taking drops if that's the thing you're looking for.
Yeah. Because I couldn't remember if it was P6 or if it was another palace, but there was a drop that took me to where it's like, oh, is this going to loop me back all the way? But like, no, there's no way. It doesn't make any sense unless this leads to the way. And
yeah,
so that's kind of
it's
how
one
I
of those things where
things.
it's one of those things where like if you're keeping track of the shape of the palace in your head, you can have a better idea of like, is this drop just sort of going back towards part of the palace that was already in, or is it going, off into the distance somewhere?
Yeah. Because P3, I think it was P3, there was a drop, and that was just like a little loop. I'm like, okay, the drop's not the answer for this direction. But for one of them, it was.
Yeah, it's good to know how it works. It's good to think about that. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. It's one of those things where the old palace style, because it can basically teleport you around the dungeon. Any path can take you anywhere. Then technically that same kind of logic exists for the older palace styles, but because a path can just take you back up out of the drop, four floors up in a single right, you just don't notice it because it just forms a loop somewhere to send you back.
Yeah.
Oh, Malchior, unfortunately, he 5.66, a little bit more normal levels, takes a death to Thunderbird. Very close to getting the kill, but coming back here, gonna have reflect and shield. Should be easy peasy. But yeah, other than that, it was pretty straightforward. Death Mountain was a bit of a surprise. How'd you like when you saw that reflect spell?
Oh, I mean, I was super excited because it's like okay, after I get if I find the mirror, then I'm just good to go. And just get west out of the way, go back to east, find Death Valley because I didn't find it. I guess I didn't go enough up because I was like, I don't even know where it is, but hopefully it's small enough. The east was pretty small, so it wasn't going to be too bad to look for it. But yeah, I was super happy to see reflect there, so I can just get it all done.
Yeah, it could have been a lot meaner. We didn't have that many checks left, and both of you still needed reflect and glove.
There was I'd never found Risen P-back cave, so I was a little worried about that in the back of my mind of like if Death Mountain didn't pay out, or P4, or
neither of you saw Risen. Yeah, don't know where it was, don't know what it had, but neither of you ended up finding it. Which is a little bit unusual given it was a wet canyon and everything was pretty accessible, but nope, didn't end up being needed. Like I said, for a good portion of the middle of the race, you two were a room or two apart. One person would get a little advantage and then it'd come back. But yep, Malchior just finishing up. Good Dark Link, 118.58. Not quite getting full tracker percent. Malchior didn't find the cross. And we've got a Malchior here. Hey, GG.
Jeez.
GG's.
Sorry, I could have hopped in here forever ago.
That's a good.
I'm like,
It was close. You finished up.
gosh, that P6. Ugh.
That P6 was it. You both were into P6 approximately 3 or 4 seconds apart.
Oh, sick. Like on first entry, because
Well, on the when you actually ended up, because I know you took that up A, but on when you first like went to go clear it, you two were tied, like in Death Mountain. You two were tied for a good portion of the middle of that race, and
awesome.
P6 unfortunately ended up doing you in.
I'll have to watch that back. Something in my brain triggered after that drop that I'd already explored left, or that I had gotten stuck or something, or I don't know. It was
Yeah, just looking at the stats here, it was about 5 minutes difference in P6.
I think there were actually 2 of those switchback drops in P6. The one where the drop in the middle of the room, but you can like do a little maze to get to the left side.
Yeah, it was not an easy P6. I liked when you took that up A to check the left at the beginning. I thought that was a good idea. I liked your idea there.
And
unfortunately it just didn't work.
Yeah, my first match against Alsola, that's what happened. Going down and to the right led to a giant loop and just looped on itself. And then Barba was literally 2 rooms left, 1 room up, in like just some dead end notch above where the spawn point was. That was earlier in the tournament. Man alive, I felt I was first to fairy because it was so convoluted to find. But I don't know. And I know I walked on the over. I totally forgot I picked up like the Water of Life. I forgot to mark it on my tracker, so it's like, well, I might need that flute Adamito. Crap, when do I route that back in? When do I route that back? Because I had already gone to the east, and I'm like, I forgot to grab a flute. Crap. And it took a bit to find the. It took a bit to find the mirror in DM as well.
Yeah, it was in a really weird spot.
I walked the edges, and I saw everything connecting to itself, and I'm like, all right, somewhere in the middle. How do I get to the middle? Which spot in the middle? And then it was just near the beginning. I was like, crud.
Yeah, I dove it twice.
Yeah, Valence had gone in earlier, didn't find it. You had sort of figured. I'm pretty sure you had figured out where it was. I had said on comms, like you could see from the cave shapes, like you had gotten to a spot where you could like physically see where Hammer Cave was, but you couldn't get there from where you were. And so when you came back to DM, you got there a little bit quicker. But I mean, I think in total time spent in DM, it was probably about even because you did have to double dip.
Cool. Yeah. Overall, not bad in terms of execution for me. Only 6 deaths. That's probably lower than I normally get. So, GP being a cakewalk, definitely benefited to that.
Yeah, I feel like it was a lot more luck, because like my P6 was really good, and then in GP I just went the right way.
I never found Magic Container Cave. I always seem to be leaving one cave on the west, and then I'm terrified it's going to be a required spot.
I did the same except for Risen P-Bag Cave. I'm like, please let nothing be in there.
Yep.
But I checked everywhere else.
I pretty much did as well. 3-eyed rock, flute. I knew I didn't need those. I'm like, where's VOD? Where's freaking VOD? I spent an extra 3 minutes just walking the east trying to find VOD. I thought it was going to be to the south. Didn't expect tiny little volcano up at the top.
Yeah, I lucked out there too, because when I went to the east first, I didn't find it. So I'm like, I still have to find Valley of Death. And it didn't take me that long. I just kind of lucked out seeing that lava at the top. I'm like, oh my god, It's right there.
Yeah, I walked the entire walked on the right side. It's like maybe these boots take me somewhere, and I saw the map generated more north. I'm like, okay, boots walk around, go up, and then it was the edge of the world, and it's like, okay,
Yeah, it was.
what the heck? Where's freaking BOD? I walked the entire south edge, go back up around. It was literally the last spot I could find, so that wasted an extra 3 minutes of overworld time for me.
And there wasn't like a little trail either. It was just kind of like the crater, and that's it.
I don't think I have ever seen that on like a non-Caldera map. That was so weird.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, it can happen just sometimes with how the river randomly generates. Like there just isn't enough vertical space.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I don't get river often, and I'm like, oh, frick, this is so risky to try and go this way before getting the hammer. Like I know I can take these passages, but and then when I found Fairy over there and Boots, I'm like, vindicated.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I'm like, oh, I can get hammer, but then I just kept looking around because like, while I'm here, and then there was that way all the way around, and I didn't turn in trophy to get 6 containers to check grandma, and I was like, oh my god, I'm an idiot. I can't believe I forgot to do that. And then it was boots, wire tile, then back to grandma. I was like, oh, they're all right here. Okay, cool.
NK is one of my most favorite spots to find because it's like, as long as I got like 2 or 3 magic levels and 6 containers, you should be able to cast spell. If I got 6 containers, decent likelihood I'm pulling the item out the basement and then spell towers. Like 3 items, please. GG's Valence. We had never met up before, so that was. I can't wait to watch that one back and see how back and forth it went.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a really good one. All right. Any final thoughts here from either of you?
You'll probably see me in the Nibiru if they think I'm good enough to join it. I ain't gonna make no main bracket at this point.
I might join you too. I've been there the last 2 years, so. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for the restream and the comms, Elendar, and all that.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yep, definitely thank you, Malchior and Valence, for the race y'all put on today, and thank you, Elendar, for comms. We've got the next Z2R race is tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, so just for your time zone, that will be BKPKT Patrick versus Tabby Orange. Then, of course, a couple more races throughout the week for week 4 of the Swiss rounds. We also have the Ocarina of Time Randomizer. They're doing their qualifying for their Season 9 tournament with Qualifier 3 tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Then we'll definitely have that on probably ZSR main. And I also have the Wind Waker Randomizer Multi-World Tournament with a couple of races coming up this week as well. But other than that, thank you so much everybody for watching, and we will see you next time. We're going to go raid Pippi in a Top Hat, who's a runner over the Skyward Sword Randomizer and a contributor to ZSR as well, so go have fun watching her doing a seed. But thank you everybody for watching.
Good evening.